Nothing but ice, for hundreds of kilometers in every direction. Then a nuclear icebreaker appears cutting straight towards something that isn't supposed to be out here. A clover-shaped structure, glowing warm against the frozen sea, less than 900 kilometers from the North Pole. Step outside unprepared here, and you could lose consciousness in minutes. Yet 150 soldiers live inside this thing for 18 months straight without ever going outdoors. Missiles hidden under snow, a runway built for nuclear bombers, billions of dollars spent at the edge of the world. Why would anyone build this? Here, today, we go inside Russia's secret fortress under the ice. This is Alexandra Land, a glacier-covered island in the France-Joseph Land archipelago, over 350 kilometers north of Murmansk. In 2013, Russia's defense ministry announced plans to re-establish a permanent military presence across its Arctic territory. Construction here began the following year. By October 2015, the base was reported to be around 60% complete, its steel framework rising directly out of the ice. By the fall of 2016, construction was finished, a striking three-lobed building, painted in the white, blue, and red of the Russian flag. Russia officially unveiled it in April 2017, giving journalists a guided tour of what it now calls the Arctic Trefoil. It's the second base of its kind, a near-identical structure. The northern Clover sits thousands of kilometers away on Koltony Island, anchoring the other end of Russia's Arctic coastline. Since 2014, Russia has reopened or built more than 50 military facilities across its Arctic territory, part of a broader buildup now estimated in the tens of billions of dollars. Winter temperatures here have been recorded as low as -42 degrees Celsius cold, enough that unprotected exposure can become dangerous within minutes. So why would anyone build a permanent, livable fortress in one of the most hostile environments on Earth? Because this island sits less than 900 kilometers from the North Pole, directly along a route Russia considers vital to its future. The first problem engineers faced wasn't the cold, it was the ground itself. Permafrost can thaw under a heated building, causing it to sink and crack. The solution: raise the entire structure on tall piles, leaving a gap of open air between the building's floor and the frozen soil below. That air gap keeps the building's heat from ever reaching the ground, keeping the permafrost frozen and stable for decades. Standard buildings placed directly on permafrost can sink unevenly as the ground beneath them thaws. Elevated construction avoids that failure entirely. From above, the design becomes clear three wings branching out from a central hub, forming the distinctive clover shape the base is named for. Enclosed corridors connect every wing to the central atrium, meaning personnel can move through the entire facility without ever stepping outside. At the center sits a large indoor atrium, effectively an internal town square, insulated from the extreme weather just meters away. Inside, the building contains living quarters, a dining hall, a gym, a medical bay, and command facilities, an entire self-contained world under one roof. The exterior walls are heavily insulated, with small triple-glazed windows designed to withstand both extreme cold and hurricane-force wind. The building's rounded, aerodynamic shape helps deflect powerful Arctic winds rather than taking their full force head-on. That same shape also helps prevent snow from piling up against the walls and blocking entrances during major storms. Every piece of it had to be built during a brief summer construction window, when the ice temporarily allows access to the site. Cargo ships and ill-transport planes hauled prefabricated sections across thousands of kilometers to reach one of the most remote construction sites on the planet. Getting the building up was only step one. Keeping 150 people alive inside it for a year and a half is a challenge of its own. Power and heat come primarily from on-site diesel generators, humming continuously inside an insulated utility wing of the base. Nearby fuel storage tanks hold enough diesel reserves to keep the base powered and heated through the long Arctic winter. Elsewhere in Russia's Arctic territory, small nuclear and floating nuclear power plants like the one supplying the remote town of Pevek are part of a broader push to power isolated northern communities. Inside the trefoil itself, warm air circulates through insulated ducts built directly into the walls and floors of every wing. At this latitude, the sun disappears below the horizon for roughly 6 months of the year, a phenomenon known as polar night. To fight the psychological toll of that darkness, the base uses rooms fitted with bright, daylight-simulating lamps. There's even a small indoor garden, where fresh greens grow year-round under grow lights, a rare taste of green in an entirely white landscape. A recreation hall gives soldiers somewhere to exercise and unwind, an essential outlet during months of enforced isolation. A fully equipped medical bay allows the base to handle most health issues on site, without relying on evacuation during storms or the darkest winter months. The result: up to 150 personnel can live here for 18 months, almost entirely self-sufficient, without ever needing to step outside. Surviving here was never the whole point, though. This base exists because of what sits just outside its walls. Mobile Bastion anti-ship missile systems have been stationed on the island, capable of striking targets far out into the surrounding seas. Arctic-proofing weapons systems means using cold-resistant lubricants and insulated electronics, so missiles and radar keep functioning at extreme sub-zero temperatures. A long-range radar installation scans the skies above the base around the clock, part of Russia's growing early warning network across the north. Heated hangars nearby can house MiG interceptors, keeping fighter jets ready to launch even in temperatures that would disable an unprotected aircraft. The base's runway was extended and resurfaced with concrete, growing from about 500 meters to roughly 500 meters. That upgraded runway can now support far more than light aircraft, including strategic bombers, capable of reaching targets thousands of kilometers away. Building a stable runway on ground that freezes and thaws each year required its own layered engineering, with insulation and drainage systems built beneath the surface. Snowplows and de-icing crews work in narrow windows between storms, just to keep the runway operational through the winter. All of this, the missiles, the radar, the bombers, raises an obvious question. What exactly is Russia defending or projecting power toward out here? The base sits less than 900 kilometers from the North Pole, within striking distance of Greenland, Norway, and the edge of North America. It also sits near the western entrance to the Northern Sea route, a roughly 600-kilometer Arctic shipping corridor Russia is working to control and develop. The wider Arctic region is believed to hold a significant share of the world's undiscovered oil and natural gas reserves. Analysts note the base's position also gives Russia influence over the Greenland-Selen Gap, a corridor NATO relies on to move forces across the North Atlantic. That's a major reason NATO members have grown increasingly concerned about Russia's expanding Arctic military footprint. This isn't entirely new. Soviet forces maintained radar and weather stations in this same region throughout the Cold War. Modern Russia is building on that same strategic instinct. The Arctic Trefoil isn't even alone in its design. Its twin, the Northern Clover, performs a similar role on the opposite side of Russia's Arctic coastline. Further east, Russian radar installations on Wrangel Island sit just a few hundred kilometers from Alaska, extending this same network almost to America's doorstep. Across the past decade, Russia's broader Arctic military and infrastructure spending has climbed into the tens of billions of dollars. Much of that investment is now tied to a growing partnership with China, sometimes described as a polar Silk Road linking Chinese trade ambitions to Russia's Arctic coastline. Strip away the geopolitics for a moment, though, and what's left is still an extraordinary feat of engineering, sitting utterly alone against the ice. On clear nights, the aurora borealis dances directly overhead, one of the few splashes of color in an otherwise black and white polar world. Inside, soldiers work rotating shifts monitoring radar and communications around the clock, regardless of whether the sun has risen in months. Living through months of continuous darkness takes a real psychological toll. Isolation and disrupted sleep cycles are constant challenges for personnel stationed here. It's part of why extreme postings like this one typically come with significant hardship pay compared to standard military assignments. At sunset, when the sun does rise, the base becomes the only splash of color across miles of white ice and blue water. Strip the story down and three things stand out: solving the engineering problem, solving the survival problem, and building serious military capability, all in one place. Inside its warm, lit corridors, it's easy to forget just how hostile the world outside those walls actually is. But step back, and the same base that houses gardens and gyms also houses missile batteries, bombers, and long-range radar. Is it a triumph of human engineering, or the next quiet escalation in a competition over the Arctic's future? Reasonable people land on different sides of that question. Either way, it remains one of the most extreme permanently inhabited structures ever built by human beings. Would you take a posting here for a year and a half in exchange for serious money? To recap the numbers: temperatures as low as -42 degrees Celsius, a 14,000 square meter facility, 150 personnel, and 18 months of total self-sufficiency. A Russian flag flies near the entrance, whipping constantly in Arctic wind that rarely stops blowing. When supply ships eventually depart after a resupply run, the base shrinks quickly into the distance, swallowed again by the surrounding white landscape. But this base doesn't exist in isolation from the rest of the world. It's one piece of a much larger contest, now unfolding across the Arctic. All 8 Arctic nations maintain some presence in the region, but Russia's network of bases is significantly denser than any of the others. The United States, by comparison, currently operates only 2 active polar icebreakers, versus more than 40 in Russia's combined fleet. In response, NATO has increased reconnaissance flights and military exercises near Russia's Arctic border in recent years. At the same time, recent diplomatic discussions have floated the possibility of joint US-Russia economic cooperation in the Arctic, depending on the broader political climate. So the same fortress can be read 2 ways: sovereign resource defense on one hand, or a driver of regional escalation on the other. Either way, this one building sits at the center of a contest far larger than the ice surrounding it. From a construction site on frozen ground, to a self-contained home for 150 people, to a forward military outpost that's the story of the Arctic Trefoil. Whatever else it represents, building a permanently livable, mostly self-sufficient structure this far north remains a genuine engineering achievement. But it's also, unmistakably, a fortress one with real missile systems standing guard just outside its walls. Human achievement, or the next step in a wider Arctic contest? We'll leave that question open. As storms roll in across the ice, the base keeps glowing steadily, a small, stubborn point of warmth against one of the harshest environments on the planet. Standing next to it, a single soldier in full winter gear looks almost impossibly small against the sheer scale of the structure behind them. The nearest other human settlement sits hundreds of kilometers away, true isolation, by almost any definition. For a few weeks each summer, the same base sits under 24-hour daylight, a jarring contrast to the 6 months of darkness that came before it. Few places on Earth swing this dramatically between total darkness and endless daylight, year after year. Polar bears still wander this island too, a reminder that even Russia's most advanced Arctic base sits on land shared with wildlife that was here long before it. The nearby airbase takes its name from Jan Nag Arsky, a Polish-Russian pilot who flew early exploration missions over this same frozen region more than a century ago. One final look under the aurora, a small glowing structure, alone on a vast, dark island at the very edge of human habitation. Zoom out far enough, and this single base becomes part of a much bigger picture, the Arctic, as the next major arena of global competition. And with that bigger picture in mind, it's worth asking one last time exactly what this fortress really represents. The engineering problem, solved. The survival problem, solved. The military capability, firmly established. Achievement or escalation. Perhaps it's simply both, depending on which side of the map you're standing on. Pull the camera back far enough, and the base all but disappears, a tiny, glowing dot inside an endless field of white. Altogether, Russia's broader Arctic military and infrastructure program since 2014 is estimated to exceed $50 billion in investment. Even here, in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, soldiers still take a quiet moment together, looking out over the ice. Would you take $1 million salary to live here for 18 months, cut off from almost everything? The icebreaker that opened this story now returns across the frozen sea, its job here finished for now. 82 degrees north, minus 42 degrees recorded, 150 soldiers, 18 months. One of the most extreme structures ever built by human hands. Under a sky full of aurora, the fortress glows on, small, bright, and utterly alone at the edge of the world. Human achievement, or the next step toward conflict? Let us know what you think.